Welcome back to Wainsider, where we dig into the raw, unfiltered heart of the WWE Universe, uncovering the stories that shake the very foundations of professional wrestling. Tonight, we're diving into a tragedy that's left fans and superstars alike in disbelief. Roman Reigns, the tribal chief, stands at the center of a storm following the devastating loss of another Bloodline member. This isn't just a storyline, it's a gut punch to the legacy of a family that's defined WWE for years, and we're here to unravel the emotional weight of it all. The Bloodline's story begins with power, a force that Roman Reigns wielded like a scepter when he declared himself the tribal chief. His reign as the undisputed WWE Universal Champion wasn't just about titles, it was about cementing a dynasty. Flanked by Jimmy and Jey Uso, the twin pillars of tag team dominance, and later Sami Zayn, the honorary Uce, Roman built an empire that felt untouchable. Solo Sikoa, the youngest, emerged as the silent enforcer, his presence a promise of the family's enduring strength. Together, they were more than a faction, they were a legacy. But power, as intoxicating as it is, breeds pressure. Roman's demand for absolute loyalty turned the Bloodline into a high-stakes machine, where every match, every word, every glance had to align with his vision. For Jey Uso, the pressure was personal, his loyalty to Roman clashing with his own ambitions. Jimmy, ever the peacemaker, buried his frustrations under a smile, but the strain was evident. Sami's desperate need for acceptance made him a target for Roman's wrath, while Solo's quiet intensity hinted at a hunger for more than just a supporting role. Please like, share and subscribe for more WWE content. That pressure wasn't without consequence. Silent resentment simmered beneath the surface, a fault line running through the family. Jey's early defiance, his struggle to reconcile his love for his cousin with his need for independence, set the tone for the cracks that would widen over time. Jimmy's loyalty was tested by Roman's unrelenting demands, while Sami's place in the family was always precarious, his status as an outsider a constant undercurrent. Solo, though, was the wild card, his ambition a quiet storm waiting to break. The Bloodline's dominance reshaped WWE. Roman's record-breaking title reign became the stuff of legend, a benchmark for greatness. The Usos' tag team supremacy was unmatched, their chemistry a masterclass in teamwork. Sami's journey from outsider to beloved Uce captivated fans, while Solo's rise signaled a new era. But every victory came at a cost. The family's unity, their greatest asset, was held together by a fragile thread of trust, one that was stretched thinner with every demand for perfection. Now, let's shift to the broader context of the Bloodline's influence. Their rivals, men like Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, and Kevin Owens, felt the weight of their power. Each challenge to Roman's throne was met with ruthless efficiency, the Bloodline closing ranks to protect their empire. But those battles left scars, not just on their opponents but within the family itself. The constant need to prove their dominance, to silence doubters, fueled a cycle of tension that no one could escape. The tragedy we're dissecting tonight didn't happen in a vacuum. It's rooted in the same power struggles that have defined the Bloodline's story. Roman, as the head of the table, was both architect and enforcer, his vision the guiding force behind every decision. But that vision came with blind spots. The family's loyalty, once ironclad, began to fray as personal ambitions clashed with collective goals. The stage was set for a moment that would change everything. At Saturday night's main event, the WWE Universe was buzzing with anticipation. The Bloodline was in the spotlight, as always, with Roman defending his title in a brutal main event. But the focus wasn't just on the ring, it was on the family itself. Backstage, tensions were high, with whispers of discord swirling among the crew. Jey Uso, already distanced from the group, was seen arguing with Solo, his frustration palpable. Jimmy tried to mediate, but the air was thick with unease. The match itself was a spectacle, Roman's dominance on full display. But as the night wore on, something felt off. The crowd, caught up in the action, didn't notice the subtle signs, a glance between Solo and Roman, a hesitation from Jimmy. Backstage, the monitors flickered with the intensity of the moment, but the real drama was brewing just out of sight. The WWE Universe was about to witness a moment that would haunt them forever. Then, the unthinkable happened. As Roman celebrated his victory, Solo Sikoa stepped into the ring, his expression unreadable. The crowd assumed it was a show of unity, another moment for the Bloodline to flex their power. But in a flash, Solo turned on Jimmy Uso, his own brother, with a vicious assault. A steel chair crashed against Jimmy's back, followed by a barrage of strikes that left him motionless. The arena fell silent, the boos drowned out by shock as Solo stood over Jimmy, his face cold and resolute. The attack was a climax no one saw coming. Solo, the enforcer, had crossed a line, targeting his own blood in a move that reeked of betrayal. Roman's reaction was chilling. He stood frozen, his eyes locked on Solo, but he didn't intervene. The silence from the tribal chief spoke volumes, leaving fans and superstars questioning his role. Was this a planned move, or had Solo gone rogue? The truth was buried in whispers, but the devastation was clear. Jimmy's condition was dire. Medics rushed to the ring, their faces grim as they tended to him. Backstage, Jey Uso was inconsolable, his screams echoing through the halls as he pushed past security to reach his brother. Sami Zayn, caught in the middle, looked lost, his loyalty to the bloodline shattered by the sight of Jimmy's broken body. The WWE Universe watched in horror, the image of Jimmy's lifeless form seared into their minds. The aftermath was chaos. News broke that Jimmy had passed away from his injuries, a tragedy that sent shockwaves through the industry. Roman, the man who'd built his empire on family, was now at the center of its collapse. Backstage whispers suggested Solo's attack was fueled by years of resentment, a need to prove himself as more than just Roman's enforcer. Some claimed Roman had given his tacit approval, using Solo to eliminate a perceived weak link. Others insisted Solo acted alone, his ambition overriding his loyalty. Jey Uso's grief was palpable. The man who'd fought so hard to carve his own path now faced the loss of his twin, his other half. Backstage footage showed Jey confronting Roman, his voice breaking as he demanded answers. Roman's silence, once a symbol of strength, now felt like cowardice. Sami, torn between his love for the family and his horror at Solo's actions, withdrew, his usual warmth replaced by a hollow stare. The bloodline was fracturing, and no one could stop it. The locker room was a powder keg. Superstars like Cody Rhodes and Kevin Owens, longtime foes of the bloodline, spoke out, their voices heavy with sorrow and anger. Even Paul Heyman, the mastermind behind Roman's reign, seemed shaken, his usual cunning replaced by uncertainty. The whispers grew louder. Some said Roman was planning to exile Solo, while others believed he'd double down, using the tragedy to tighten his grip on the family. The truth remained elusive, buried in the chaos. For Roman, the loss of Jimmy was a wound that cut deeper than any title loss. The tribal chief had built his legacy on the idea that family was everything, but now that family was crumbling. His silence during the attack raised questions about his leadership, his loyalty, his humanity. Was he still the head of the table, or had Solo's betrayal stripped him of that mantle? The WWE Universe demanded answers, but Roman's stoic facade offered none. The emotional toll on Jey was devastating. The man who'd once stood proudly beside his brother now faced a future without him. Backstage, Jey was seen clutching Jimmy's ring gear, a relic of their shared dreams. His grief was a mirror to the fans' own, a shared mourning for a superstar whose heart and hustle had defined the bloodline's early days. Jey's next move was anyone's guess, but the fire in his eyes suggested a reckoning was coming. The attack's ripple effects were felt across WWE. Fans took to social media, their hashtags, #JusticeForJimmy, #BloodlineBetrayal, trending worldwide. The once unified Bloodline fanbase was now divided, some defending Roman's leadership, others calling for Solo's head. Backstage, alliances shifted, with wrestlers like Drew McIntyre and LA Knight watching closely, ready to exploit the family's weakness. The WWE Universe was on edge, waiting for the next chapter. What does this mean for the Bloodline's legacy? Once a symbol of unbreakable unity, they're now a cautionary tale of power's cost. Roman's reign, though still intact, feels tainted, overshadowed by the blood on his hands. Solo's rise, once a promise of the future, is now a mark of betrayal. Sami's role as the honorary use is in question, and Jey's path seems destined for rebellion.